Hello, dear professors and colleagues. I'm Wen Yichen from China, Zhongkai University of Agriculture and Engineering. Today, I'm honored to give a presentation of my paper entitled Content over Grammar, EFL Students' Focus and Feedback Strategies in Peer Assessments of L2 Writing. First, I would like to give my presentation on the following contents. And for the background and literature review, Vygotsky's theory of cognitive development emphasized the role of social interactions and culture in learning. He believed that children learn through guided participation with more knowledgeable others like teachers or peers. It posits that learning occurs through scaffolded social interaction, particularly when learners engage in collaborative evaluation tasks. And as for feedback, peer feedback has become a cornerstone of process-oriented L2 writing instructions, quoted from Highland and Highland 2019. Yet little is known about how intermediate EFL learners naturally prioritize different writing dimensions when evaluating peers' work. So this study would like to give qualitative investigations into peer feedback focus and strategies. And teaching methodologies is like the following. First of all, I have two research questions in this study. The first one is, which writing dimensions do EFL learners prioritize during peer feedback? Research question 2, what feedback strategies do they employ most frequently? And the following is the set of data source, and this is based on a course named College English 2 in mainland China, and there are 291 students who participate in this study, and the research instrument is a feedback focus area and strategy questionnaire. And the research instrument is descriptive analysis and qualitative analysis. Now let's come to the research instrument, which is a feedback focus area and strategies questionnaires. And this questionnaires, including the seven scales, which are content, organization, sentence, vocabulary, mechanics, evaluation, and suggestion approaches. And these scales can be grouped into two types. One is the feedback focus and another is feedback strategies. And the number of items of this questionnaire is 13. And the questionnaire underwent adaptation and translation into Chinese to enhance comprehensions and validation for the EFL learners. Now let's come to the result and the discussion. And for the overall performance of students' feedback focus, the mean and standard deviation of students' scores in this focus looks like the following. This is a 5-point Likert scale questionnaire, and the mean score range from 4.36 to 3.62. And number one ranks is the content, and the second is argument, and then goes to the organization, the vocabulary, the sentence, and the voice comes to the last. Now let's come to the overall performance of students' feedback strategies. The feedback strategies, we may see that for the feedback strategies, specific praise ranks the number one, which amounts to 54%, are larger than the general praise, which amounts to 45%, and the critical feedback is the lowest one, which just have the 28%. And for the feed-forward strategies, exemplary and explanatory feed-forward is much larger than the direct revision, which just amount to 10%. Now let's give a detailed look into this focus and strategies. And this table is identified items with mean scores lower than 3.7 and above 4.3. So the items one is I check for complete sentence structure such as subject, verb, or object. This has the mean scores of 3.65. And number two, I noted active or passive voice appropriateness, as this has the mean score of 3.67. And then move on to item 3. I focus on whether the content closely followed the assigned topic, which has the mean score, the highest mean score of 4.36. Now let's move on to the feedback strategies. For the feedback strategies, we may see that students prefer praise, especially the specific praise, than the general praise, which amounts to 53.61% and 44.67%. But the general criticism and specific criticism are much lower, which amounts to just 24.4% and 32.65%, with 3.78% of none of them. And then as for the feed-forward strategies, exemplary feed-forward strategies and explanatory feed-forward strategies amongst the highest, much higher than the direct revision. So this may have give us some kind of implications in our teaching. So the conclusions and implications may be like the praise-dominant feedback culture reflects ancient educational norms preserving group harmony. And so here, the study reviews the strong content-oriented focus and predominance of affirmative comments and favored exemplary and explanatory suggestions. All of this may give us the following teaching implication or pedagogical implications. Then the first, number one implication is that targeted intervention to develop grammatical awareness may be required, and it calls for a balanced feedback model such as praise, critique, and suggest framework. And in the future, technology-enhanced peer assessment models may be suggested. Now let's come to the limitation of this study. The study's limitation include a homogeneous sample from a single Chinese university. Perhaps in the future, incorporating longitudinal study may check some kind of behavior shifts, which will bridge empirical gaps in understanding. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for your listening. I'm Wenyi Chen from China. Thank you.